Expected points, captaincy, clean sheet odds, and players to buy. This video has all the information you need to know for game week 14. We're going to start off then by looking at the top players by position for expected points, kicking things off with the goalkeepers. We've currently got Alisson sitting in at number one, over, well, one expected point ahead of Flecken in second. Unfortunately, though, he did, of course, pick up an injury against Man City, so he is flagged in FPL at the moment. Early rumours suggesting he's going to be out for around 5 weeks. Obviously, that's not been confirmed yet, but that's the latest news that we've got at the moment. As I said, Flecken in second place, Luton at home. I think he's backed, along with Brentford, of course, to keep a clean sheet in that one. Ederson, Sanchez, Pope, Trafford, Areola, Pickford, Johnston and Martinez round off the keepers. Then we got the defenders, a rare week where Trippier isn't number one. We've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously coming off the back of a goal, a big goal against Man City. Fulham at home, I think, as we saw with Alisson, a fixture where Liverpool are back to keep a clean sheet. And of course, with the attacking upside Trent has got, makes sense to stick him in at number one. Saliba in second place. I think Arsenal are emerging as the best defence in the league at the moment. He's obviously back to keep a clean sheet against Wolves. And Trippier comes up in third. Man United at home, I wouldn't rule out a Newcastle clean sheet in that fixture. I think, you know, they can really up their level against St James's Park and keep a clean sheet against pretty much anyone, to be honest. Virgil van Dijk and Tsimikas up there as well. Obviously similar reasons to Trent, heavily back to keep a clean sheet against Fulham. Then we've got Pinnock, Gabriel, Walker, Zinchenko and Kufal rounding out the list. Midfielders up next then, and we've got Mo Salah in at number one, 7.1 expected points against Fulham. Saka and Mbumo, Foden, Palmer, Kudus, Sterling, Gordon, Martinelli and Diaby round off the midfielders. Question is, do you stick the armband on Mo Salah? And we'll find out in a little bit. And then on to the forwards. Haaland topping the list, as he does pretty much every game week. Spurs at home, I think, without Van de Ven in the Spurs team, I do think Man City have got a chance of scoring a fair few. Spurs are, I think I read, well, heard on TalkSport yesterday evening that Spurs are the first team that were top of the league to lose 3 straight games in a row in Premier League history. Obviously, that's just down to the fact they've had so many, well, suspensions and injuries, but without Van de Ven in that defence, I just think Spurs are a much weaker outfit, and I do back Haaland, particularly at the Etihad, to do well in that one. Watkins in second place, followed by Alvarez, Solanke, Nicholas Jackson, who beyond game week 16 has some wonderful fixtures and is still putting up some good numbers, as of course is Darwin Núñez. Edouard, Calvert-Lewin, who I actually really like as an option for 5.8 million, seems to be able to stay fit now. Wissa and Nketiah rounding off the forwards, obviously assuming that Nketiah starts, which probably unlikely. Looking then at the overall expected points, Haaland and Salah are by far and away the leading two. I would say the captaincy decision is actually really close between them. On the face of it, well, had it been the start of the season, I'd say it was quite an easy one. Spurs being a really tough fixture and Fulham being not so much the case. But with the injuries and suspensions that Spurs have got in defence, both Romero and Van de Ven are going to miss game week 14. So I think that makes them significantly weaker defensively than they were previously. But likewise, Fulham, they're definitely not one of the top teams defensively either. So yeah, big question mark on who you captain. I've done a little comparison next. All right, so here's the comparison then. I'm looking, obviously, Salah and Haaland. They're, in my opinion, the two outstanding captains. We've got Fulham at home for Salah, who across the season have conceded 21.87 expected goals. And then Tottenham, obviously at home for Haaland, 21.28. So across the season, there's not much between the two teams in terms of their defensive ability, like across the season so far. But of course, I mentioned that Spurs are without Romero and Van de Ven, which of course they've been without for the last 2 fixtures. And when you pull up the expected goals conceded across the last 2 fixtures, I know Fulham have had, in inverted commas, relatively easy fixtures in comparison to Spurs, but this is what it looks like. Spurs are the 3rd worst defence at the moment in terms of expected goals conceded since Van de Ven and Romero got injured or suspended. So I would say that probably gives Haaland the edge in terms of fixtures, in terms of the defence that they're playing. And then when you look at attacking returns and scoring points so far, I'd say obviously Haaland leads the way, but the difference in it is small enough where I think Salah's extra points for goals sort of cancels it out. So I'd say, again, similar to what it was in Game Week 13, you'd be comparing the two in terms of fixtures. And I say Spurs without Van de Ven and Romero actually look worse defensively than Fulham do. I don't think, well, you can let me know in the comments if that's a controversial thing to say. But I think based on that, Haaland is the stronger captain. Now, I wondered if you could do me a favour. If you're enjoying the video so far, please make sure to leave a like rating, subscribe to the channel as well, set the notification bell so you can see when I upload next. If you're really enjoying the video, please consider joining as a channel member. You'll get early access to all of my videos, and when I deadline stream, I'll give you priority when I rate people's teams in Draft Hound. You can also, if you want to support the channel in a different way, check out my shop down below. You can buy yourself a golden goal sticker or a mug. All right, back to the video. And then looking at the Draft Hound clean sheet odds, it's quite interesting actually. Based on what I've said about Spurs and Fulham being relatively equal fixtures, they've both got a 9% chance of keeping a clean sheet in their respective fixtures, which is quite funny. Arsenal, top of the tree, 55%. That means they're the only team this game week, more likely than not, according to Draft Hound, to keep a clean sheet. Liverpool on 48, Brentford on 45, Man City on 44, followed by Burnley, Chelsea, Newcastle, West Ham, Everton, and Nottingham Forest. Usually, I don't like to pick teams with below 30% clean sheet odds. I'd say avoid starting players from teams with those clean sheet odds. So yeah, you can see there. I'd say 29%, you know, Forest and Everton defenders, they might be worth starting. And to be honest, they're playing each other. So I think it makes sense. But yeah, that's the clean sheet odds for this week. On now then to some players to target. I'm trying not to get carried away with the fact that a lot of good players scored in Game Week 13. I'm going to try and extrapolate that and pick players that have been consistent across the whole season so far rather than just being knee-jerky on the one game week. So the first player I wanted to talk about is Anthony Gordon. Now, he looks to be absolutely nailed on that left wing spot for Newcastle. I think he's proving at the moment to be probably the best of the sub 6 million midfielders. Certainly non-penalty expected goals and assists, he's by far and away the best. I think the fact obviously that Harvey Barnes is injured, there's really no competition for that left wing spot. Gordon really puts in a shift defensively as well as, of course, going forward, which I think Eddie Howe really likes. And, of course, he's just putting up in general some really strong numbers. 10 attacking returns from 11 starts. He's got Man United at home, which on the face of it is a tough fixture. But like I said, when talking about the Newcastle team, I just think defensively and going forwards, they could give anyone a game at St James's Park. So, yeah, I wouldn't be scared to buy him for that game. Then he's got Everton. He obviously just lost 3-0 to Man United. Spurs away, but they'll be without Van de Ven still, which I think significantly reduces their abilities defensively. And then Fulham and Luton. So that's really 5 games that Newcastle could win in scoring. Yeah, I just think he's a great option. And with the likes of, well, Bowen being an injury doubt, obviously Eze being injured as well, yeah, he's a perfect replacement for them. He's got 5.8 million up there, but I expect by the time this video actually goes out, he'll be up to 5.9. But regardless, that's still great value for what he offers. Cole Palmer is the next player I wanted to talk about. He's got Brighton at home coming up, Man United away, and then from game week 16, the Chelsea fixture run is just ridiculous. So I still think, regardless of whether he scored in game week 13 or not, we've seen enough from Cole Palmer to suggest that he's a good option. And, you know, I think there still is a bit of a myth around around the fact that he's a penalty merchant. He's got 1.7 non-penalty expected goals and 3 assists. So he is still proven to be dangerous from open play. Just don't think you can go wrong with him as an option. And similar to Anthony Gordon, you know, if you can't afford Gordon or looking for a replacement for Eze and don't fancy Gordon, I think Cole Palmer is your best bet. I think Saka is just the ultimate FPL option. I said he's underpriced there at 8.6. It's actually 8.7 million now, but I still think he's underpriced for the level of returns that he's putting up. Yeah, he doesn't even need to have a good game. Arsenal don't even need to have a good game for him to still get returns. When against Brentford, that cross for Havertz's winner came basically out of nothing. I thought Brentford had, to be honest, the better share of the game, but Arsenal still got the goal and still came away with the result. And he is just a player that's going to reward patience across the season. You look at the next 4 games, Wolves, Luton, Villa, Brighton. You know, Villa have not been the best defensively. Brighton not kept a clean sheet yet. Wolves is at the Emirates and Luton away is a good fixture. I'd like them all, and I think Saka's got a great chance of some returns going forwards. He's Arsenal's talisman, best player, 0 competition for his position. He might not be taking all the penalties, but he's definitely going to get some before the end of the season. I just think he's a great option. I think it's fair to say Brian Mbeumo is going to be the most popular transfer in ahead of game week 14. He's gone up now to 7 million, but I still think that's great value consistently just knocking out returns against all levels of opposition this season. He's of course the penalty taker with no Tony. He's guaranteed to start and play 90 minutes. I think he's one of 2 midfielders and forwards, well, attacking players in the league that have played 90 minutes of every game so far this season, along with Bruno Fernandes. His underlying numbers are just exceptional, 0.87 expected returns per 90. He's going to blank in game week 18, so you need to have a little bit of a plan for dealing with that. I mean, for 4 game weeks, I don't think there's anything wrong with transferring out a player after 4 game weeks, to be honest. But then he could well double in game week 20, so just one to think about there. But I think he's going to be the most popular transfer in by far this game week, and it's clear to see why. Now, I imagine a lot of FPL managers are sitting frustrated with Areola in their team, and I don't think money is going to be an issue at the moment in FPL. So I think, you know, Areola to Raya is a possible transfer for a lot of players this game week, and I really do think he's a great option. He seems to be Arteta's first choice keeper. Whenever Ramsdale was coming to replace him, he's looked shaky and really poor. And for that reason, I think Raya is Arteta's, at least in the league, Arteta's number 1. Arsenal are by far and away now the best defence in the league for expected goals conceded. They've got a great set of fixtures. Well, I'd say 3 of the 5 fixtures they could well keep a clean sheet in coming up. He'll of course be ineligible to play against Brentford, but they've literally just done that, so that's not going to be a factor for a little while. He's played 8 games, 4 clean sheets and conceded 6 goals. It's just a fantastic record, and I think he's a great option. I just think Jamal Lascelles is a bit of a cheat code in FPL at the moment, really. Even if you just leave him on your bench for fixtures you don't fancy him. We've got a starting Newcastle defender for under 4.5 million, and with other players in the Newcastle team being injured and getting replaced, there have been some noticeable drop-offs in the team, but defensively, with Lascelles replacing Botman, he has been an absolute stalwart in that defence and really, really good. I just think, yeah, he's a fantastic option and you can't go wrong. Alright, and that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed that and found it useful, please leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments what you thought of any of my opinions there. I'll be interested to know what you think. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, please subscribe to see more content from me, and I'll catch you in the next video.